far, so I have to come back in to actually do the stream. But hello, how are you? Just walking you through the house, looking at the things in the house. Very reminiscent of my first vlog, actually. Do you like my nose strip? No, I'm not wearing a nose strip. But that was my first ever vlog. So far, far in the past. Ages ago. Ages. We go upstairs. Ooh, spooky lighting. Hello, thank you for the person back into my little enclave. Even though it's nice and sunny outside, I can't do the live stream from there because it doesn't stretch that far. But hello, 2 people. Thank you very much for giving me likes. 3 people? Nice to see you. Yes, so 2 weeks, 3 weeks till my, what is it? It's the something of July, 18th. Is it 18th? Yes, it's the 18th. Tomorrow is apparently Freedom Day. Whatever that means, I don't think it makes any difference really. And then in 3 or 4 weeks' time, I'm not sure, I've got my free Fringe show. Free to do what you like, any old time. But don't do what you want any old time. And my free Fringe show, I'm hoping that people give me donations. I don't know how they're going to give me donations, to be honest. Because it used to be when it was live, I'd get a little bucket and I'd go, please give me money. And they would or they wouldn't. I'm not sure how you do it online. Set them free, exactly, set them free. I'm not sure how. Probably some sort of PayPal or something like that. Don't know. Or maybe I'll just say, hey, tip me by, like, top super comment, whatever they're called. Super comments. Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be. Anyway, my show, when it comes in 3-4 weeks' time, I don't know what it is of it anymore. It's going to be from Wales, but it's an Edinburgh show. Yeah, and it's going to be basically this, only more so. Every day. Every day at about 7 o'clock, probably. Not sure. Might be another time, but I'm saying 7 o'clock. The venue is here. The venue is actually listed as somewhere else. I can't remember what the venue is, but the venue is actually not here, because I won't be here. I'll be in Wales. I'm going to Wales next week. Yay! So I'll be able to do lots of things. So I've been doing more gardening. Thank you very much. Doing more gardening. My gardening is basically digging things up and digging more ivy up and digging more. Most of the blackberries have gone, but every now and then I'm like, no, there's another one. And I keep looking out and going, no, more blackberries. And also, I got all the ivy. I was like, there's ivy. And then all mites and stuff, and one of them bit me, and I've got bites all over me. And I'm like, no, I don't want any sort of horrible things happening to me, so I'm going to look out for that. But now I've got things clinging to me, dropping on me. So I've had a nice long bath. Hopefully they're all gone. But it's just, the ivy is everywhere. It's impossible. And I dug something up that looks like a little mandrake root. Ooh, maybe I'll show you. I think it was an ivy root, but it looks like a mandrake root. I'll show you. And I saw a frog as well. I'm going back down with you. This might not work. I'm going to keep you on the... because I put, ooh, that's a spooky face. I'm going to show you the mandrake root and then get back in again. Yeah, mandrake. Spooky. Whee, on the move. Wow, it's like a steady cam, only not steady. Steady, boy, steady. So, if I come here, because I know where it is, I don't know whether the internet's completely... go again. There's a cat, 2 cats out here. There's 2 black cats that live nearby, and one of them comes to visit every now and then. We thought it was just the one, and then we realised there's 2 different cats, and they both came today, and they weren't very happy with each other, even though they live in the same house. Yeah, see, internet goes. It's like a tree on the top, and it's not a tree. I know, I've done very well, but there's still so much ivy. It's just coming and coming and coming. And I found the mandrake root. That is ivy. It's just, is it spooky? It's like, okay, this might be the source of all the other ivy in the house. Spooky. But, yeah, I probably shouldn't have brought it in the house now. spooky thing in the house. I'm going to maybe stick it there and then move it out of the house quite soon. So yeah, the ivy, it takes many forms. It's like you think that's something else, then you realise no, that's still ivy. It's a few trees that you're like, oh, that's a nice tree. Oh no, it's ivy. There's another tree inside that's now a dead tree, and the ivy has wrapped itself around with its tendrils and its big sort of big trunk that's got like little fuzzy bits on it, and then as it gets to the end, there's smooth branches, and it looks lovely, and it looks like something completely different. You go, oh, that's nice, and then you realise it's ivy again. It's got tendrils coming from. It's just horrible. It's just something out of a horror movie, and I keep cutting it down, and just it's still covering all the garage. Even though I found the door for the garage, and I opened it, and there's all spiders' webs. But then Ollie, whose house it is, who should have probably done something about this sooner, but he's like, move from the garage. I can see that it's the ivy sort of the ivy off. It might just collapse everywhere. So got to be very careful that we're not in the vicinity when it collapses. So yeah, because there's so much heavy stuff on the top, it's very difficult. Anyway, I'm away to Wales next week, so it'll probably all be back again. By the time I get the whole summer, I'll just be like, oh no. There it all is again. I thought I got rid of it, and it's back. It's all back again, because that's growth for you. Yeah, just grows and grows and grows. But most of the ivy now on the fence is on the other side, on the other garden next door. I was trying to push it back, and I'm cutting on like the threads on my side, hoping it's going to fall off, and they can deal with it. But the trouble is, it's going to grow back. It's just impossible. And it was all twirled around a bucket that was full of water that was all covered up by the ivy and the blackberries. And now it's been revealed as a bucket, and there was a frog living in it. But there was ivy twirled around it like a really thick root, and I tried cutting it, and it sort of jostled the bucket, and then the frog, might have been a toad, jumped away. It was a secret bucket, and there's a secret, lots of stuff. I found a big sort of twirly piece of metal that I'm not sure if it's part of a fence or part of like a fireplace or something. Found a big twirly piece of metal at the back of the garage, and I found a rotavator and several tools that have rotted away. Like there was a sort of axe, and there was a big tree that I know that I dragged there ages ago, and it got covered over because you can see it anymore, and it sort of rotted away a bit, but there was an axe there as well, so tried to chop the tree up with the axe, and that had been under there too, and the wooden handle just sort of split, just sort of fell off. So that's great. It's very, 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 I mean, you put things out there and they immediately disintegrate. Like, I think it's very difficult. Oh, my internet. Farmer hands. I haven't got farmer hands, have I? I've still got the patch of there, because I think it goes away, and then when I get a bit of a tan, it comes back again. There's like a big patch of pale there. So yeah, that's something, and it's not so, as I say, it's not so much gardening as very, very hard manual labour that wears me out in no time at all. So I'm out there for a bit, and I'm like, oh, I've had enough now, and I'm not feeling too good now. I'm just like, oh, I need a rest, but I can't have a rest because I'm still working for another week. Another week. Most of the schools in most of the country are finished, but not mine. No. Yes, Bob. Right, so yeah. Anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with my show. Just whatever you want me to do. I do lots of different things. It will be so fun. So I'm going to travel next week on the National Express coach all the way back to Wales, and then I'll have a little rest, and I'll do another live stream, and it'll be from Wales. And the internet's even worse in my parents' house. There's only like one tiny spot that I can actually do any internet in without it cutting out. So that's going to be interesting. But there is a screen behind me in the corner of the room, like in the room that I'm staying in, the bedroom. There's a corner, tiny little corner where I get internet, and nowhere else in the whole of that room. There's nowhere else in the whole upstairs, and only the front room really. You can sort of stretch a little bit down the hallway, but really only the front room and this tiny little patch I've got internet. So I'm thinking of getting a ring light so that I've got nice lighting in my tiny little enclave. And I've got a screen behind me so I can do back projection. No, not back projection. I can do projection onto the back of me. Not so much back projection as front projection behind. If you know what I mean. It's sort of, I don't know. Oh, it's so warm. I'm getting all like, ugh. Perspiring. That's what it is. It's glowing. Yes. Ladies glow. And I've had a lady's box from that place, so I must be a lady. Lady. Exactly. We did have a Wi-Fi extender at some point, but it didn't really work very well. And also, the electricity's a bit dodgy in that house. It really needs to be changed. So I don't know. I could get a Wi-Fi extender. Probably what there might be. Yeah. I think there is already one in the house. I just, You've never travelled by National Express, but it's a classic National Express. National Express used to be a lot better because ages and ages ago, they used to have like a person that would come and give you coffees and tea and sell you sandwiches, and there was like a little galley in the back, and they'd have just, they could heat things up and they could bring you drinks and everything. And then at one point, a little bit later, they had their own onboard little screens, and that you had to pay for your own. They had special little jacks for the earphones that were a lot smaller than normal ones, so they were like selling you the headphones. But I had some that could go in, so I made the most of that. But I think they realised that people were doing that and they weren't making that much money about it. And then they had a special service where you could get like certain. Well, it was a little bit like Now TV. You could get a few things from Sky, and you could get it, and you can download it onto you. It was the viewer thing, and you could get it onto your device. And they've abandoned that now, and I think they do have Wi-Fi. For a long time they didn't have any Wi-Fi, but now they do have Wi-Fi, but they don't have the extra films. So you don't really. So National Express is just not as great anymore. You don't get coffee and tea and sandwiches, and you don't get special, like, it's not like an airplane anymore. You don't get special films and stuff. So now it's just a bus. A bus. I don't know how it's going to be, because I think they were. I'm hoping. Yeah, you do still have to wear a mask, but I'm not sure. I think they might have sold all the seats, so it's going to get a bit crowded in there, and I'm just going to be sitting there like this with my little mask on. Try not to go anywhere the whole time. It is all about money, money, money. They were fancy once. They were really fancy, and then they stopped being fancy, and they're just not fancy. Yeah, and the Edinburgh ones I've been on, the overnight ones, they're very uncomfortable. And the megabus as well. You've got a tiny little seat in the megabus and you're sleeping like this, and it's very uncomfortable. The National Express, sometimes I've had a double seat. Got to get a double seat. Double seat reference. A little bit of politics. Not a little bit of politics. It's a Ben Elton thing. Anyway, you're not supposed to lie down to sleep on it, but I have had double seats on it. But mostly when I've had the overnight one, I felt really ill and horrible, and I had to go to the hospital one time after being on one of these overnight things because it made me feel so ill. So that's not great. So in a way, I'm quite happy I'm not going to spend my overnight. I mean, I've compensated over the times I've known that I've got a little cushion and special compression socks and a wrist thing to stop me feeling travel sick and all sorts of stuff. But it's so annoying because some of them didn't have internet at all. And that was, I mean, even though they were overnight, I still want to check my internet. Like, to check on things, see what's happening, make sure everything's going all right, make sure that there's somewhere to stay on the end of it. And I haven't even had internet the last few times. So it's, I mean, I didn't go last year for obvious reasons. And they have got people going up this year, and they have got live shows, but I'm not doing that. I'm just doing my online show. This, basically, this. You've got me every day. Every single day. Oh, the joy of it. Aren't you lucky people? So lucky. Yeah, and I'm not going to Edinburgh. So, I can't miss it. Because apart from 2016, I think, I didn't go at all. I've been for at least a week, almost every year. Except for 2016 and last year. I've gone some days, sometimes a whole month. I miss Edinburgh, but I don't miss the travelling up there. Yeah, train is probably best, and plane is not good, because one time I went up by plane, my ears, just because it goes really up, really high, and then really down. So it's like half an hour it takes, rather than 8 or 9 hours by coach. It goes wee, and then it goes wee, and the pressure's too much, and my ears were like, ah, and I was looking around, and everyone seemed really comfortable. I was like, ah, I'm in pain. Why is nobody screaming? Why are my ears so hurty? And then I couldn't hear anything for the next day and a half. So plane's not good. And also, somebody defriended me on Twitter for going up by plane because they thought that I was killing everyone in the world with it. The environment was bad because of me. It was all because of me. I ruined everything, and they defriended me on Twitter, and I didn't know about this till the year later when they were like saying, oh, this she's not even funny, they were going. It's like, I don't think that's got anything to do with it, so yeah. Overnight buses in Japan, that sounds interesting. Yes, well, are they good? Like sleepy ones? I know that there's people that have got the overnight sleepy mega buses where there's like actual beds, and I've never been on one of those. And one time on the sleeper service train, I didn't fork out for the actual bed. I just had a sitting up sleeping service, and that was even worse. My neck was absolutely by the end of it. So I was like, I wish they did give me a little eye thing, a complimentary eye mask thing, but I should probably have washed my hands. I've just realised I haven't washed my hands after touching that weird little creature. It's not a creature, it's just a root. So it's just like, ew, I should probably get some hand gel or something. Yeah, anyway, so I'm not going to do that gardening over the summer. I might help my mummy in her garden, because she's got a very nice garden that's already full of flowers and herbs and vegetables and all sorts of nice stuff. Not like, I could probably put stuff in this garden, but as I say, by the time I'm back in September, it's probably going to be a ruin again. Yes, I'll turn into a mandrake. Maybe I will. Should use it in some sort of spell. A spell. Yeah, what sort of spells need mandrake roots? Maybe it is a mandrake root. Maybe it's not an ivy at all. It probably is a I don't know. Maybe mandrake roots and ivy are the same thing. I know they're not. Hello. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. The whole, if you go up by plane, you have to still go on the coach or a bus or a tram. Recently, I went on the tram from there. So I must have been thinking about it. I must have travelled up by plane more than once. It must have been twice, because the first time it was bus, and the last time was tram. So I must have gone more than once by plane. You see, it was actually cheaper by plane than it was by train, and almost cheaper than it was by coach, in fact, which is bizarre. But you still have to get from the airport to the town centre, and then to wherever you're going. I know the very first time I went to Edinburgh, I went up by bus. Yes, I went up by bus, and then I came back again to London, and then went up again at the end of the week, and I was staying very far out, and I was very tired, And the person whose show I was in didn't seem to understand how long a journey I'd had and how tired I was because I had to cart my suitcase and try and find this place, which I got lost. And I was not in a good mood, and it all ended badly, and I ended up not being in that show anymore. So I had a whole week off to just explore Edinburgh and do stuff. But I was in a show that first year, but I wasn't in the show by the end of the... Yeah, I just stayed up like this. It was more fun, really, just going around and videoing things. It was fun, yeah. And they still had that year. They still had the Fringe weekend. No, Fringe Sunday. That's what it was called. Fringe Sunday. That's nice. I've got lots of videos of my first few years in Edinburgh. Yeah, nice, good times. Yeah, I think the second year in Edinburgh was the best because I got to be in proper shows, in proper venues, and nobody knew about it, but it was fine. In the Green Room venue, which is only there for a year and then went, but that was good because that was all mostly Americans, and the person that was running it didn't realise that I was in one of the shows because the person that was in the show had forgotten to tell them. So they kept giving me and it's only later, I met them later, and they're like, oh, I was wondering why you were hanging around the Green Room all the time. I thought you were just there for no reason. It's like, I was in one of the shows in your venue. He's like, oh, I hosted an Elise Harris show. And I was like, yeah, you did. I think he was making fun of me. I don't think he was really thinking anything. Yeah. Anyway, he was a big time producer. But I think he was making fun of me, to be honest. When I'm back in Wales, next Saturday night, I will be back by about 7 o'clock. And I will be back in my parents' house by shortly afterwards. So probably I'll be back properly, sitting down, by about 8 or 9 o'clock next Saturday. And then I'll be there for the whole of the summer. And I will come back here on the 31st of August. And then I will start working again on the 1st of September. Yeah, I'm still touching my hair with my mandrakey hand. I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's not good. Yes, hi Elise. Happy Sunday to you too. Yes, crying on Sunday thing. It is hot. It is very hot. Yeah, I'm okay, thank you. How are you? Should the key, because I don't know you that well, but it's for a very familiar tea there. The familiar tea. Oh, what's the tea? Yeah. Yes, and from North Wales or South Wales, is this Shudaki or is it Sidaki? It depends whether you are from. And is it Dach or is it Dach? It's a mystery, isn't it? It's accent-wise. It's very variable. I should probably I was going to actually this week, I had booked to do a beginning Welsh course that was every single day from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock online in my hometown though. Thank you. It's good to say things. In my hometown, so because even though I've been learning Welsh, I don't really speak Welsh, and I was like, yeah, and then I'll be able to talk to people, and it'll be great, because I didn't realise I was still working next week, and I had to cancel it, and I was so annoyed, because it was a free course, and it was in my hometown, even though it was, online, because things are still, I was like, yeah, that's going to be so fun, and I was so disappointed. Every day next week, but no, they extended, because of everything that's going on, they extended the summer term, and I'm still working. So it's not even in the last week of term. I mean, anyone that's been to school, the last week of term is just messing about. We're going to make pizza, and we're going to have, watching films and stuff. I don't need to be there, really. There's no point in me being there. It's just going to be fun and games, and jumping about, and having a laugh. For the kids. Obviously for me it's going to be hard work, but I don't need to be there really. They can have a laugh on their own. They don't need me there. But I'm going to be there. Anyway, so that's why it's another week. And it is very hot in this room. Very hot indeed. So, that is basically my week. What have I got planned for the summer in Wales? Well, I might go to Porthcawl. And And then I'm going to do my show every night. But I don't know what I'm going to do in the day. Probably go for little walks and stuff, hoping it's not too... I mean, we might go for day trips. Might go to... I don't know whether things are going to be open because it's all still up in the air. Even though it's supposed to be Freedom Day tomorrow and everything's supposed to be back to normal. It's not, is it? So I don't know. And also, I've heard that Denmark has said that people from Wales are welcome, and if you have got a good reason you can, and you're not from Wales, you can travel from Wales to Denmark, but anyone that actually is resident in Wales can go to Denmark, but nobody else in the whole of the UK. So that's interesting. So, because I think it's Wales is nicer. People from Wales are more welcome everywhere. But it's quite interesting, somebody pointed out, that they're differentiating between Wales and the rest of the UK. That they're like, usually it's just, that's you. So it's maybe a sign of things to come that we're all separating. That we're all having a little sort of... So I just realised that it's all paintbrushes all over the floor. I need to pick them up. Yes. Thanks, Denmark. Yeah. Oh, yes, it was a good... Yeah, that was in the garden. I thought, I'll take a picture in the garden. And I took it, and then I tried to start the live stream, and it wouldn't. It just didn't. It just refused. It's like, no, not out here. Thank you very much. I should put this head on the little mandrake's body. It was creepy enough with my horror movie. That is very creepy, isn't it? But so is the mandrake. Yeah. So no, I was reading stuff about Midsummer yesterday, and I've got mixed feelings about Midsummer because I you know that I made that little sort of parody with my puppets, Midsummer, but Midsummer is one of the funniest films ever made. It's ha 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 ha. It's so hilarious, is Midsummer. It is, it's funny. Not as funny as Hereditary. That's really funny. He's got a good comic timing as the guy that made those films. They're hilarious. Anyway, no, there was all like things you might have missed in Midsummer, and apparently there's a director's cut that's like even longer than that because it's like 2 hours and 17 minutes or something. No, 2 hours and... Yeah, 2 hours and 17 minutes, and apparently it's 171 minutes for the extended cut, which is longer than 2 hours and 17 minutes. Oh, I can do maths, me. And, yeah, there's lots of things that are missed. And as well, because there's things about 9, because that's a special 90-year ceremony. It's mostly the same, because they do that every year, apparently, but... They do special things every 90 years, but they don't really reveal what it is that they've done. They're special, because it turns out that they haven't showed the end of the film. There's another like 3 days of this ceremony to go. Anything could happen, and it turns out that at the end of it, her parents and her sister, who something happened to at the beginning, if you know Midsummer, you know this, are at the end of the film. Now that makes no sense, and you're like, what are you talking about? If you've seen the film, you're like, what happened to the parents and the sister? And they're still in the film at the end of it, when she's got the flower crown, and other things happen, which I won't spoil, but other things happen. There's a flower crown at the beginning, there's a flower crown at the end, there's a flower crown in the parents' house. And the parents are there. And the sister's there. And the sister's in the tapestry. Tapestry. It's not a spoiler because the tapestry is right at the beginning of the film. It's a spoiler if you haven't seen the beginning of the film. Yeah, just spoilers are difficult, isn't it? I think anything that is just like... What is a spoiler of a film? Mentioning it at all, probably. But I've read a lot of reviews of different films lately, and a review should say, this is what I liked about it, but not give away any of the plot. And there's been reviews, I'm like, do I want to read this? Because that's just told me everything that happens in this film. What's the point in that? Or in a TV series, they tell you what happens up to episode 7, and it's like, well, episode 1 is available now. Why are you telling me what happens up to episode 7? Because it's not like sometimes you want to read somebody's take on something after you've seen it. But if only episode 1 is available and they're telling you everything that happens up to episode 7, then basically not doing their job. Journalism these days, I don't know. When I was a journalist back in the olden days, I'd never do that. I was a proper journalist with training and stuff. No, you're just like, oh, I want to just type stuff on the internet. Fair. Anyway, it's very warm now. I'm going to go and have a sit down and have a nice glass of water and then wash my mandrakey hands off. And, man hands, not mandrakey hands. Yes. And then I'll have a sit down. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next Sunday in Wales. It's so fun. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Bye bye.